खत्म हुआ 45 साल का इंतजार।
Historic two-country visit. He is in Poland right now, and from there he'll be going to Ukraine. This is the first time an Indian Prime Minister is visiting Poland in 45 years. The last time an Indian Prime Minister was in Poland was in 1979 when then Prime Minister Morarji Desai had visited Warsaw. A lot of connection between India and Poland, and that was visible and quite evident when Prime Minister Modi landed in Poland and he went to the memorial, the World War II memorial, and also had an interaction with over 25,000 people from the Indian diaspora, business community, leaders from the country, and interacted with quite a few of them. But today is a very important day. Today is when the official leg of the visit really kicks off. It started with a ceremonial welcome for Prime Minister Modi, and now as we speak, he is in a restricted dialogue with President Duda. The restricted dialogue will be followed by a full-scale bilateral delegation-level talks between the two sides. We will get to know details of what really happened, what really took place in that. But meanwhile, I'm also being joined by a guest who joins me from Warsaw, and we'll be discussing very important bilateral issues between the two countries, how to take things forward at a time when Europe is faced with the Russia-Ukraine war, a Russian aggression. If there is escalation, then all these countries, particularly Poland, stands vulnerable. Another very important aspect, because we're talking about the war, also has to do with the fact that when the war was at its peak and there were Indian students who had to get out of Ukraine, it was Poland that was one of the main countries allowing and facilitating Indian students leaving Ukraine, entering Poland, and from there flying back to India. I'm being joined by Patrick Kugil. He is a senior analyst at PISM and focuses on India, EU-Asia, EU-India relations and international development cooperation. Thank you so much, Patrick, for joining us here on India Today Global. Let's begin with the visit itself. How important would you consider this visit? The fact that the two countries in themselves, very important. One, a very important visit to Poland, but also the first one to Ukraine. Let's just first talk about India-Poland ties and what could be the big takeaways from this meeting that's right now ongoing in Warsaw.
I think this is truly historical visit. In the past, we used to have a good and cordial relations during the Cold War years, but then in the aftermath of the Cold War, I think Poland didn't pay enough attention to India, and possibly India has also neglected the whole region of Central Europe. So this visit will open the new chapter in the relationship. It will pave the way for the more vibrant cooperation across the sectors. I think in the context of the Ukraine war, you must be aware that India's position on the Russian aggression against Ukraine has disappointed many people in Poland, in Central Europe, and it has created some tensions and challenges for our bilateral ties. So I think with the honest discussion between our both leaders, we will be able to clear the air for more trust, for more trustful cooperation. We will explain each other's position more clearly. I think it will help to bridge the differences, and it will allow for more vibrant cooperation also in the strategic sector. So my main expectation from the ongoing discussions between Prime Minister Tusk and Prime Minister Modi is that Poland and India may elevate the partnership to the strategic level. And that would be a really huge success and milestone in the relationship between Poland and India, but also between European Union and India.
Right. Patrick, when it comes to relationship itself, while while many want and expect the ties to be elevated to a strategic partnership level between the two countries, but not many really know how substantial bilateral trade is between the two countries. And while we talk about, Poland really or India not emphasizing or being emphatic enough to strengthen relations between the two countries in the past, what is interesting is that a lot of people from Poland actually speak Hindi, have learnt Hindi, or are interested in Hindi. Your ambassadors who've served here, the one before this and the Charge d'Affaires currently, actually speak very good Hindi. So that's an aside. Having said that, Patrick, when it comes to bilateral relations, it is a very, very crucial partner. In fact, Poland is India's largest trading partner in Central and Eastern Europe. We're looking at IT sector, pharmaceutical sector. The business presence in Poland is quite substantial. Electronics, steel, metals and chemicals, farm vehicles. What else can the two sides really cooperate in?
I think the shortest answer is the sky is the limit.
I agree.
We understand India is the fastest growing major economy, offering a huge and attractive market. So, and Poland is also, sixth largest economy in Europe. We are the fastest growing economy in Europe. So most likely we can explore cooperation in many, many sectors, from food processing, from agriculture to education, to science and technology, to green transition, to renewable sources of energy, until up to the space exploration. So really the sky is the limit and should be our target for cooperation. The trade figures for the last years were improving, but still, to my understanding, they're underperforming. Yeah, we have around 5 to 6 billion US dollars trade turnover, and I think we can easily double this in next 5 years. And we can even do more when it comes to mutual investments. We have already a number of Indian companies investing in Poland, from Ranbaxy to Infosys and Wipro and many others. We have Polish companies opening factories, like Bella India, for example, is a Polish factory, Canpak, and many others are exploring the potential of the Indian market. Business ties are growing. As you said already, the people-to-people connections are getting stronger and stronger. The size of Indian diaspora has increased 10 times during the last 10 years. And I think migration and mobility can be another very important strategic area of cooperation. Poland is interested possibly also in helping India to skill its population, its young population. We have very good universities and centers of excellence in sciences. And India is a natural partner to improve our technological capabilities and professionalism. So I think there is a very vast scope for cooperation in economic, in technological areas, but also we must be more trusted partners when it comes to defense of the international rules-based order, reform of international institutions, and we are both interested in a world order where international law prevails.
Right, very interesting, Patrick, but we'll talk a little more about that. But if we could just go back a little in history to talk about the contributions India made. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, for a reason, had gone to the Jam Sahib Memorial, and also for a reason to the War Memorial. Very significant statements and messaging over there on contributions of Indians during World War II, especially in the European war during World War II, rather than the Indo-Pacific or the Pacific. And in that, there are about 6,000 lives that we see, Indians also sacrificing. How significant, how important is this at a time today when the very same Europe, Patrick, is a divided house? Imagine these were the same countries, along with Soviet Union, that fought the Nazi Germany. And today, it's Russia on one side and Europe on the other?
No, very good points. You must understand what geopolitical situation we are facing in Europe. We are faced with a neo-imperial power, a neo-colonial power, which want to, uh, unmake uh, certain developments of last 30 years. You can imagine this situation very well in India because you, like Poland, we share these parts of history that we were colonized by European powers like India. We have been erased from the map for over 100 years, and we regained our independence just 30 years before India did. So you must understand the situation of Ukraine that is experiencing is like, you can imagine if the United Kingdom or any other European power would like now to change its mind and would like to retake its former colonies in India. You wouldn't be very much interested. And this is precisely what Russia is doing in Ukraine. And by doing this in Ukraine, violating international law, infringing on territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine, Russia poses very existential threat to other European countries, especially on the eastern flank, eastern border of the European Union. So yes, we are in a very precarious, very difficult position in Europe, but it was also a wake-up call to Europe that we need to wake up from the post-Cold War dream, that we need to invest more in our own defense, that we need to be less dependent and reliant on the United States for security, that we need to put our house in order first.
That's a very important point.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I hope India can be also a part of this journey. We are undergoing, as a result, massive modernization and transformation of the Polish armed forces. We are investing heavily. We spent over 4% of GDP on defense for the last couple of years. And we have developed our own technological capabilities and military systems that we can also offer India. We can join hands with India in joint production, in research and development when it comes to defense sector. So India also can count on Poland when it comes to modernization and maintenance of post-Soviet equipment, because Poland gave away all its tanks and howitzers to Ukraine, the tanks, the artillery of Russian origin. But we still have an expertise in this regard. We have people, experts, assembly lines, and we would be happy to help India to maintain its armaments. And also we would like India to be to have more diversified sources of defense and to develop more at home. And Poland would be interested in doing this, making this journey together with India.
Well, all right. Just before we move further in the conversation, just a correction over here. Earlier it said 6,000. It's not 6,000. It's 87,000 Indian soldiers or Indian troops who died in World War II. The 6,000 number that we were talking about are Polish women and children who actually found refuge in two Indian princely states of Jamnagar and Kolhapur. And that's the connect, which is why Prime Minister Modi had visited those sites. Yes, Patrick, that was a mistake made by me, not you. I'm just correcting myself here.
But it's wonderful you are taking this story into our discussion. These are very beautiful two cards of our shared history. We are very much grateful for the hospitality and assistance of good Maharaja he offered to Polish orphans and women during the Second World War. And very important is this another example which shows the brotherhood in arms between Polish soldiers and Indian soldiers during the Second World War. We have together conquered and won the battle over the Monte Cassino, which opened the way for Rome and eventually led to the defeat of the Nazism, Nazi Germany. So this is very great part of our shared history. We can build on this, and we can continue this cooperation on a way to build more stable, secure, and just international order where neo-imperial powers have nothing to do and cannot threaten any other smaller countries or any of its neighbors.
Right. Again, Patrick, this is an important leg. What happens after the delegation level and the restricted dialogue? Is there any information on what the joint statement or for the outcome of this entire bilateral dialogue really be focusing on? What can we expect from the joint statement? Not the joint press statement that the Prime Minister and the President will hold, but the joint document.
Yeah, I will be going to the Prime Minister office in 10 minutes, so we will learn soon what is the outcome of the discussions and meetings. But certainly we could expect some very positive statements when it comes to defense cooperation, to the cooperation in IT, in new technologies. I think it will also open a way for reciprocal visit from Poland of the highest level to India. We hope that Polish President Andrzej Duda can be a guest of India in coming months, still when Poland and India celebrates the 17th anniversary of establishment of diplomatic relations. We are looking forward for more frequent contacts and the highest visit. It would be fantastic if Prime Minister Narendra Modi would like to come to Poland again next year when Poland will hold the presidency of the European Council of the European Union. We will hold the President Summit for the Three Seas initiative, which is very important regional grouping in Central Europe, focused on connectivity, on connecting Europe with the Indo-Pacific. So there will be many opportunities to reap the benefits of these current discussions and visits. I think it will create a positive atmosphere. We can expect also several concrete outcomes like the social security agreement, which will be of interest to Indian nationals living in Poland. We might expect some beginning of talks on the migration and mobility agreement. Prime Minister Modi has just yesterday announced that India will offer a special scheme to commemorate Jam Sahib from Jamnagar, and he will offer a scholarship for 20 young children from Poland to visit
That's
India.
right.
To learn about the Indian culture. So I think this visit will open enormous potential for cooperation in many directions. So really, I'm looking forward to the joint press statement, and I hope it will also be a step towards strategic partnership between our countries.
Okay, in conversation, Patrick, before we take the train ride from Poland to Ukraine, let's just talk about Prime Minister Modi's visit to Russia. He was in Moscow, and there was a lot of criticism that came his way from Europe, from the West, particularly the United States of America, expressing concern. But he had met President Zelensky just a couple of days before that, and then gone and met President Putin. And now he's going to Ukraine as well. How do you see these visits? Because for India, Russia will remain an important partner, at least for some time to come, if not forever. But the fact that after Russia, he's also making a trip to Ukraine, is this India trying to balance itself when it comes to how the international community perceives it? Or is there a real role for India to play out here?
Certainly, I read it as an attempt to rebuild a positive image of India that was somehow harmed due to very bad timing of the visit of Prime Minister Modi to Russia. You know, he was hugging with President Putin at the same time when Russians bombard the children's hospital in Kiev. So it created very bad impression in Europe and also in Poland. So I think the current decision that to go to Kiev to regain the trust of Ukrainian people and President Zelensky is very positive step. It shows that India is trying to balance relations, its very strong and good relations with Russia, with equally independently strong relations with Ukraine. And I think it positions India at a place where it can play a role as a mediator in the peace talks between two sides. But the peace talks will depend mostly on the decision of the Ukrainian people. If there is a situation in which Ukraine will be willing to negotiate and talk directly to Russia, then India might be a very good place where such a discussions can take place, because it has a trust still of the West. It has a very good relationship with Russia. So I think India will certainly not play a key role in bringing peace to Ukraine, but it can be helpful and constructive in passing the message from one side to the other. It is certainly seen as a more reliable and trusted partner than China, for example, yeah, which we see here in Europe as getting very too close to Russia and supporting Russia war efforts. So I think India has still some advantage, and this visit will only improve our mutual understanding, and it will also allow us to talk more about the reconstruction of Ukraine. So we can already start talking about the future in the post-war scenario.
Right. And now shifting focus a little, Patrick, to his Ukraine leg of the visit. It is going to be a high security visit. He's taking a train, the very same train all the leaders took to from Poland to Ukraine. And it is a very brief 12-hour visit, very critical one. What can one expect from the messaging that we'll be seeing by India on Ukrainian soil?
I think this visit will be very much appreciated, also because the risks it entails. Prime Minister Modi took a very brave decision, and he took a risk to go to Ukraine, and it will allow him and help to regain trust and confidence from Ukrainian president. Possibly it will be also an opportunity to discuss about bilateral relations, dehyphenated from relationship India enjoys with Russia. So there is also, Ukraine used to be before the war, and after the war it can still be a very important economic partner and strategic partner. Big parts of India's weaponry were actually being produced in Ukraine factories before the war. So probably Ukraine can also play a role in modernization of some military systems and technologies India has in its stockpiles. So I think this visit is very important also because it takes place in a kind of symbolic moment. Yeah? Ukraine will celebrate National Day, the day of independence, when it got independent from the Soviet Union in 1991. So the symbolic message which this visit sends will be very much positive and appreciated in Europe, and it will help us to gain a momentum in the relationship with between Europe and the West in general and India.
Patrick, should Ukrainians or Europeans really get their hopes up when it comes to this visit, or should there be some realistic understanding and checks and balances on how much can India really deliver? And the fact is that no matter what India does in terms of engaging, Prime Minister Modi, when he was addressing the Indian diaspora yesterday, also said that this is not an era of war, and he's going to emphasize that and be emphatic about ceasefire. But having said that India will continue engaging, or New Delhi will continue engaging Moscow. Is there a better understanding today, Patrick, of why India is doing that? What of the position of India as opposed to when the war had begun?
Yes, I think there is an understanding of why India's position is like it is. It was a disappointment for many in Europe and in the West, but we understand why it took that shape. Therefore, I think India's role in bringing peace to Ukraine is rather limited. Uh, what we would like to see India doing would be to encourage Vladimir Putin to withdraw forces and end this aggression. That would be fantastic end of the war. But probably India will not do this because it is like India's foreign policy is obviously based on the realization of Indian national interest, not of Ukraine or Poland. So for this reason, I think we have not massive expectations from this visit. I think India will only position itself for future, for possible peace talks that might take place sometime from now. But to do this, India had to regain trust of Ukrainian side because the visit in Moscow created this impression that India is siding with Russia in this war. So by going to Kiev, India will retake its position as a neutral player and messenger of peace. But not every peace is acceptable for us and for Ukraine. We are not looking for a peace that will legitimize, grabbing of Ukrainian territory by the force of by force by Russia. So we are not looking for a ceasefire that will just accept the status quo at the moment.
Okay, that's a very pertinent point, that this is not status quo, and that there has to be reversal. Russia will have to go back, but it doesn't seem like Russia is going to accept that, Patrick. So are we expecting a long drawn stalemate over here when it comes to negotiations, or coming to the negotiating table at all?
This is a very likely scenario, that this war will prolong for a long time, and it will be rather a low intensity conflict. Maybe there will be several attempts to sign a ceasefire, but everything depends on the will of Ukrainian people to fight. Europe will stand with Ukraine as long as it takes. We understand that this is existential fight for Ukrainian state, and we will do whatever possible to support Ukraine as long as it is willing to fight. Many will depend on the result of the elections in the United States, but even if Donald Trump wins in the US, I'm very much skeptical whether he will stop supporting Ukraine. Because this is also in the very national interest of the United States, not to let Vladimir Putin win in victory. We cannot accept violation of international boundaries, of international law, because in this way we'll open the space for chaos in international relations. It is not very good scenario for India either. If Russia wins in this war in Ukraine, then other big players, other big powers that are neighboring India might be encouraged to do the same with its smaller neighbors. So
Right.
we do share this interest that international law is protected, and we need to find a way how to ensure that those who violate international laws are punished, so they will not do this again and again.
Right. Patrick Hugill, thank you so much for joining us here on India Today Global. For all the nuanced reporting from the ground as also from the newsroom, keep watching India Today Global. We are getting you all the live updates and news developments when it comes to Prime Minister Modi's visit to Poland, as also later his visit to Ukraine. It is going to be the first in Ukraine and the first in 45 years that an Indian Prime Minister is in Poland. Significant visit, but how does it really compare to what the world is looking at, how the world is thinking? Like Patrick just now said, the expectations are low because they know India's position when it comes to Russia, and that certainly will remain unchanged for some time to come. There is also a lot when it comes to India-Poland Connect, India's contributions in World War II. Log on to India Today Global. We'll tell you details of what Indian soldiers' contribution to the World War II really was. How did it happen, the conscription, and a lot more that went on during World War II. Thank you for watching.